MLBB esports is changing at a global level, and 2026 might redefine how regions compete forever. Imagine a world where Southeast Asia isn't the only powerhouse, where teams from the Americas, East Asia, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, even the Eastern Europe and Central Asia challenging for global glory. The rules, the rivalries, and the road to the M8 World Championship are evolving. And if you think you know MLBB esports, buckle up. 2026 is a total overhaul. Welcome back to Mobile Legends News. Today we break down the Global Esports Roadmap 2026, the biggest competitive shift in Mobile Legends Bang Bang history. Officially unveiled by Moonton Games at the M7 World Championship Grand Finals, this roadmap moves MLBB towards a 5-region competitive structure, opening doors for new rivalries, fresh talent pipelines, and a more global esports ecosystem. From championship formats to international events like the Asian Games and Esports Nations Cup, we'll unpack what this overhaul means for teams, players, and fans worldwide. So, what exactly is the 5-region overhaul, and why does it matter so much to teams, organizations, players, and even fans? To understand its impact, you have to look at the big picture. Mobile Legends Bang Bang is no longer positioning itself as a Southeast Asia-centric esport that occasionally invites the rest of the world to compete. Starting in 2026, Moonton Games is implementing a 5-region competitive structure designed to rebalance global competition, strengthen developing regions, and create a clearer, more logical path from local leagues to the biggest international stages. Under this new model, the global MLBB ecosystem is formally organized into 5 regions: Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and Central Asia, Europe, Middle East, Africa, East Asia, and the Americas. This shift is more than a geographic reshuffle. Each region is now treated as a core pillar of the global ecosystem, with its own competitive identity, developmental responsibility, and pathway to international tournaments, instead of just being peripheral or dependent on wildcard entries. Now, every region becomes structurally relevant to the global calendar. The reason this overhaul exists comes down to competitive balance and long-term sustainability. For years, MLBB esports has been dominated by Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia and the Philippines. These regions developed earlier, invested more heavily, and built deeper talent pools, which naturally led to repeated success on the world stage. While that dominance produced legendary teams and unforgettable moments, it also created a gap. Other regions struggled to catch up, not because of lack of talent, but because they lacked consistent infrastructure, exposure, and meaningful international pathways. The 5-region system is Moonton's answer to that imbalance. The goal is not to weaken Southeast Asia, but to raise the global floor. By giving every region a structured ecosystem with real competitive consequences, the game shifts from a single region powerhouse model to a truly global competitive landscape. Emerging regions are no longer treated as experimental scenes. They are treated as investments. This philosophy becomes especially clear with the introduction of new inter-regional competitions like the Championship Tour, which connects teams from multiple regions in a structured, recurring format. Instead of relying on occasional invitations or one-off appearances, teams now progress through a more predictable ladder, with domestic leagues that feed into regional dominance that open doors into inter-regional tournaments, and if you find success there, it directly leads into global championships. For teams, this clarity changes everything. Preparation is no longer based on hope or luck. It's based on performance within the defined system. From a competitive integrity standpoint, this structure creates consistency. Teams from different parts of the world are no longer operating on disconnected calendars with wildly different levels of exposure. Instead, every region plugs into the same overarching ecosystem. This allows for better seeding, fairer representation, and more accurate comparisons of competitive strength. When Moonton talks about hosting thousands of events across dozens of regions in 2026, this structure is what makes that scale manageable rather than chaotic. For teams, however, this overhaul demands serious adaptation. Preparation in the old system often focused on copying the Southeast Asian meta and hoping it would translate internationally. In the new structure, teams must first dominate their own region before worrying about the global picture. Regional mastery becomes the foundation of success, and that means understanding local playstyles, tendencies, drafting priorities, and pacing better than anyone else in your ecosystem. At the same time, teams must also prepare for stylistic clashes between regions. East Asian teams may approach macro and discipline differently from Southeast Asian squads. Teams from the Americas or EMEA may bring unpredictable drafting philosophies or unconventional hero priorities. Coaches and analysts can no longer afford a one-size-fits-all approach. Preparation now requires layered scouting, with regional analysis first, inter-regional adaptation second, and global meta awareness on top of that. Another major implication is talent development. The 5-region structure quietly signals a shift away from short-term roster building towards long-term player pipelines. Organizations that want to stay competitive can't rely solely on established stars or imported talent. Instead, they need to cultivate their own ecosystem through academies, grassroots tournaments, and structured progression from amateur to professional play. This is especially important for regions that historically lack depth. With clearer pathways to international tournaments, young players now have tangible goals and realistic routes to the top. Organizations that invest early in scouting, coaching, and development stand to benefit the most, because regional dominance will increasingly depend on depth rather than individual brilliance. In a system where sustained performance matters more than a breakout run, consistency becomes the ultimate advantage. Infrastructure also becomes non-negotiable. Teams can no longer operate as 5 players and a coach grinding scrims. Competitive success in the 5-region era requires analysts, strategic coaches, data review, and long-term planning. Regional leagues now carry real weight, meaning every match can impact international opportunities. That pressure forces organizations to professionalize or fall behind. But for me, one of the most exciting consequences of this overhaul is the evolution of rivalries. MLBB has always had intense domestic rivalries, but the 5-region model elevates those narratives to a global scale. Instead of just a team versus team storyline, fans will increasingly follow region versus region clashes, Americas versus East Asia, EMEA dark horses challenging Southeast Asian giants, Eastern Europe and Central Asia emerging as a wildcard threat. These rivalries matter because they are backed by real stakes. Regional success directly influences international exposure, seeding, and prestige. Every win carries narrative weight, and every upset reshapes perceptions of regional strength. For fans, this makes the viewing experience richer. For teams, it adds pressure and motivation that extends beyond a single tournament. All of this leads directly into how major events are framed in this new ecosystem. The M8 World Championship being hosted in Turkey is not just a logistical decision. It's a statement. For the first time, the most prestigious MLBB event takes place in Europe, reinforcing that idea that no single region owns the global stage. This geographic shift aligns perfectly with the 5-region philosophy and forces teams to think globally, not just competitively. But beyond M8, MLBB's inclusion in major multi-sport events like the Esports Nations Cup and the Asian Games further strengthens the importance of regional and national identity. Teams and players are no longer just representing organizations. They are representing regions and countries on internationally recognized stages. That elevates preparation, discipline, and performance expectations across the board. In the long term, the benefits of the 5-region system compound. Competitive depth increases as more regions develop credible contenders. Underdog stories become more common, not because of randomness, but because systems allow talent to surface. Players gain clearer career paths, teams gain predictable routes to international play, and fans gain narratives that stretch across seasons instead of single events. But most importantly, every match starts to matter more. Regional games are no longer just qualifiers. They are building blocks of global relevance. The 2026 roadmap transforms MLBB esports from a collection of strong scenes into a unified competitive ecosystem. Teams that adapt early by investing in preparation, development, and regional mastery will define the next era of Mobile Legends esports. Those that don't may find themselves left behind in a game that has officially gone global. Basically, the 5-region model has the potential to completely reshape MLBB esports in 2026 by transforming it into a truly global, structured, and sustainable competitive ecosystem. It opens massive opportunities for emerging regions to grow, compete, and gain international recognition, while still challenging established powerhouses to evolve beyond dominance alone. At the same time, it raises the bar for teams, organizations, and players, demanding stronger preparation, deeper talent development, and smarter long-term planning across every region. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the 5-region structure will finally balance global competition, or will Southeast Asia continue to dominate no matter the format? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want a deeper breakdown of how this roadmap could shape the next M series, make sure to watch our next video here on Mobile Legends News. Till next time.